Oh, golly. Can you imagine if that came out this year? It would be so irresponsible. Let me make this clear, folks. It doesn't matter if this movie inspires you to take that 1 foot. Don't be an idiot. Unless you actually do have CF, then I guess do as you please. All of the powers to you. But I mean, these kids couldn't even follow their own rules. At least give it 6 inches. 5 feet apart. So 5 Feet Apart is written by Mickey Doughtery and Tobias Iaconis. It stars Haley Lou Richardson, Cole Sprouse, Moses Arias, and Kimberly Hebert Gregory. So 5 Feet Apart. I seriously did not plan that. Because the truth is, this was suggested 1 whole year ago by these peeps. This is all thanks to Brier Gallaway, Brier Pearl. That is also coincidental. Bleh. I'm assuming that's how you say it. Bleh. Sav with a question mark on the both sides. How do you do that? So, Kellie and Savannah, all of which requested this as their favorite movie, or one of their favorite movies. I said I would review their movie at a certain point, and it just worked out. Here we are. Also, if I missed anybody, I'm sorry. Despite what you've heard about me being perfect, I am, and I like to keep it that way. Please let me know. You can find me on all the social medias. Preferably MySpace, though. Golly, a lot of people like this movie. Also, someone else that I would like to, commemorate is my wife. She basically wrote my entire intro. So if you were thinking about using it, TM my wife. Okay, review time. So this is going to be another tough review, because I've never had a movie like this. I mean, there are a lot of things in this movie that I think are amazing, and then there are other parts of this movie where I have suggestions. A lot of suggestions, actually. Another disclaimer, as I do with all types of these kinds of reviews, the ones where they're dedicated to individuals that may love this movie. There is no movie out there that is not loved by somebody. And there always will be good reasons. It's your opinion. It's you. So like always, this review is going to be factual in its validation of your like or dislike for this movie. But in this case, particularly like, because all of the peeps that I mentioned earlier, they love this movie. And I'm sure a lot of other people do. I respect that. There is good reason to love this movie. I'm going to try and say at least one thing positive about each section. And it is on that note that I will say I'm torn on this movie. Not polarized. Torn. Let's talk. Characters. Bangs. I'm going to call her Bangs. My wife didn't like the Bangs. Did anyone else not like the Bangs? I didn't mind him, but hey, this is a safe place. So Bangs is honestly awesome. She's kind, outgoing, but also damaged in more than just one way. She has CF, cystic fibrosis. It's a lung disease that's not curable, and it makes the individual incredibly sensitive to the bacteria in other individuals with CF. So, hence the title. Except it's definitely supposed to be 6 feet. But Bangs is great because she has other things about her that make her an interesting character. Particularly her OCD. Yeah, it's a bit of a plot driver at times, but it was done well enough. I appreciated it. Then there's Disney Channel hair. Yeah, I really couldn't think of anything else, so he's Disney Channel hair. DCH for short. He's the boyfriend. And I'm happy to say that he's actually pretty great. I got to see a lot of sides of him, which shows that there's dynamic that usually isn't there with the boyfriend. And that brings us to the romance. And surprisingly, this isn't a problem. I bought their romance, and I do have some suggestions, on how to make it better, which we'll discuss later. But honestly, this is what we should have gotten with Anakin and Padme. You wanted some notes on the Forbidden Love Complex, George Lucas? Then, go back in time, make a time machine, and then go forward in time, watch this movie, then go back and make it. I'm gonna break something. The Star Wars prequels never even really bothered me, but even I can admit that their romance was about as stale as every one of my jokes. Okay, here's the only dud of the movie, I guess. In fact, I'm gonna call him Milk Dud, because we're talking about a movie. Okay, look, he's frustrating, but it's less about his character and it's more about his character arc. And we might want to talk about that in the predictability section. It's only fitting. You'll find out. Also, did I mention that Mama Barb is awesome? I know that her name isn't actually Mama Barb, but I mean, we got Bangs, DCH, and Milk Dud, so who's counting? Acting. Okay, I know Haley Lou Richardson from Split and Edge of 17. In Split, I'm not even going to beat around it. She was awful. No, I'm not kidding. She was terrible in that movie. And in Edge of 17, she was forgettable. Then in this, wow. Like, I'm not even kidding. She is incredible in this movie. And I never would have thought that she could carry her own movie. But she totally does. She was great. I mean, there's never that moment that I'll never forget. But something that I will remember is how natural her performance is. Even Cole Sprouse, man, this is what made their chemistry work for me. They work so well together, which is why these next few points give me so much heartburn.
Dialogue.
Okay, the dialogue isn't bad enough for me to remember it. In fact, Haley's performance and her ability to be so natural with this script, it's impressive. But speaking of the script...
Story.
Now, bear in mind through these next few points that despite the shortcomings, I really, really like these two together. And I'm banking on that being the reason why most of you like this movie. In which case, I get it. All the power to us. They're great. It's what makes this movie not a bad movie. But, okay, firstly, we might as well start with the title. It's clever, and that's about it. Look, I understand that these two have to come to grips somehow with the fact that they're dying. But go figure. There are healthy and unhealthy ways to do that. Yeah, there's a lot of not social distancing in this. I mean, you'll find better social distancing in a box of Pop-Tarts. Honestly, I came up with better ones than that, but 97% of them were inappropriate. So that's the best I've got. So anyways, Pop-Tarts. What are we talking about? Oh yeah, the motivations for that extra foot. Yeah, they make no sense. We'll talk more about that in the moral section. Let's talk about the romance. Aside from some mostly inescapable cringe moments, the romance is fine, but it goes from 1 to 1,000 faster than Anakin goes to the dark side. Nextly, is that a word? It is now. Nextly, might as well keep tradition and stay on topic. The plot. Oh, this script. This is the perfect example of a plot-driven film that served itself up to be a perfect character-driven film. Ah, it's so frustrating. This is a rarity in which the plot gets in the way of everything that would make this a potential masterpiece. Spoiler warning. The drawings. Now, when we first find out that DCH is an artist, it doesn't show us his work right away. And this is where the movie magic comes in. The movie lures you into thinking that he draws these uncanny photorealistic sketches. That's what every other Lifetime romance would do, except it's done good here. Well, we're right about the first thing. He's good. But they're cartoons. Perfect. The movie surprised us. But then the movie pulls its punches at the end just to get face waterfalls. I'll admit, I'm guilty. I indulged. But before he leaves Bangs, he gives her his drawing book, and it's all photorealistic stuff. Well, there goes that right hook. Here's another possible reason, and it's actually a good reason. It actually could be an illumination of DCH's character. Perhaps he hid this side of him as a supplication of his humility. Well, if you liked the whole art book thing, then there you go. Feel free to go with that. I'm just inclined to believe otherwise, because the movie is so safe. By safe, I mean that the movie is cliche. That's it. Granted, it did a lot of cliche things really well. I mean, I got a little teary at times. Honestly, it got too pretentious for me. Now, granted, I feel like this is a good time to say something else positive. I do like the ending in that I like where the characters end up. Him leaving her, that's a sacrifice, because it supports how his character has thus far been written. I just mostly didn't like every step of the way there. More on that in the moral section. Geesh, this movie is turning out like a 5 Feet Apart script. All of the good stuff is at the end. Also, I like the music in the movie, so there are some good things sprinkled throughout the film, and some really great things. The bad stuff just was way too distracting for me. Safe writing in this type of film is just a bad idea. The romance genre is just so used up that taking chances is vital. And I mean literally vital. This genre will die if it keeps telling us the same joke. Anyways, there's a reason why I'm putting most of this in the moral section. It would be way too long. The short version is the story is trope infested, and the plot driving gets caked on so much that the ending just goes all out romance driven instead of character driven, which sucks because the characters are great. That's enough.
Predictability.
Okay. Positivity. This movie deserves a trophy, because if you want a movie that has literally no surprises other than it will make you cry, which is what it's supposed to do, then good job. But this kid, Spoiler warning, he was dead from the moment I laid eyes on him. Don't get me wrong, he was a likable enough kid, but perhaps this is the reason why I didn't cry like many of you did, is because for me, he was already dead. But what frustrated me is that the movie tries so hard to pretend like we don't know exactly what's going to happen. Come on, seriously? I mean, this is, yeah, a turn your brain off movie, but it's no excuse for you to take advantage of us. Allow me to teach the movie something. Movie, what you did was you fridged this character. I'm going to assume that the movie doesn't know what that is. Fridging is what most movies disrespectfully do with women. They literally write a character just to keep them on ice long enough to die at the end of the second act, thus motivating the start of the third. Try to at least be more tactful about this movie, or better yet, make the character more relevant than he's just there to die. Goodness.
Moral.
Teaching us that love will make the terminally ill happy? Sure. Doing selfless things for people, thus in turn learning to love them? That feeds the soul. It's good. Teaching the terminally ill that intense infatuation that encourages one to do exactly the thing they're not supposed to do, like it will fix them, that's not okay. This is Hollywood at its best. That is so insanely irresponsible. Look, I'm not attacking you guys that love this movie. I said it at the beginning, I'll say it again. All the power to you. There are good things in this movie, and we should partake of them because they're good things. I'm just saying, let's put all of that love aside for a moment and look at the facts. It doesn't matter how much you or I love a movie. It always has the potential to be better. Safety in this genre is actually dangerous, funny enough. And I don't mean the kind of safety like, stay 6 feet apart, which please do, but I'm talking about the kind of safety in a movie where it's unwilling to go against the norm. And the norm in the romance genre is that infatuation is love. Young people are being indoctrinated to think that this is how love should work. Newsflash, kids, if your relationship is solely based on those butterflies that you feel in your chest, they do eventually go away. So then when that happens, what does that leave you with? Love is not the feeling. Love is the selfless ability to stick around. And that is perhaps the only way that you'll bring those feelings back without being unfaithful. And no one wants that. It wouldn't be fitting for me to supply all these complaints without supplying a solution. So here it is. True love would be adding one extra foot to keep the other person safe. I want to keep you safe. I want to keep you safe. Okay, let's keep each other safe because we care about each other. It's safe, it's responsible, and it's romantic. That's selfless, that's love. See, you just gotta change one part of the title and just fixes everything. And guys, I won't harp on it because I don't have CF, but I can only imagine that there were a few people with CF that saw this movie and just found it to be kinda irresponsible. And regardless of if you liked or disliked this movie, you have to respect that as a fact. Look, the movie has got the feels, folks, and I can appreciate that. That there is character-driven to a point. And no matter the circumstance, it's important to feel, even if you're forced to ignore the context. You see, feeling a lot in a movie, it makes us very forgiving. And that's okay to a point. And, I mean, that means that the movie did something right. The characters, the acting, and the dialogue. That's good stuff right there. But the plot, its ability to surprise us, and what it's trying to teach its audience, the movie isn't bad, guys. There's just so much that could have been better. But hey, I bet you didn't expect this. The rating actually turned out not to be all that bad. I'm putting 5 Feet Apart at number 219. Something interesting about my rating system is there's actually a pretty dramatic shift where the movies go from positive to terrible. And it's actually in the 250, 270 range. And the reason why that is because there are a lot more terrible movies out there. My rating system is out of 700 movies. I put Shrek the Third somewhere around, it was in the high 200s, and I didn't give it much of a positive review. That's because somewhere between Shrek the Third and this movie, it just something goes wrong. The point of the matter is, guys, is that it is actually really difficult to come across good movies. 5 Feet Apart, you made it in the top 30%. Well done. So 5 Feet Apart. Thank you, Brier Gallaway, Brier Pearl, still don't know how to say that, bleh, Kellie, and Savannah, for this opportunity to learn. I'm glad that I have these two in my life. I Thank you. Disclaimer. Stay 6 feet apart, folks. You don't want to risk it. Considering my thoughts on this movie, I was pretty forgiving in the moral section. In any circumstance where social distancing means the life or death of yourself and others, it's only responsible and healthy to stay responsible and healthy. Regardless, guys, what with all the good stuff in this movie, it's worth asking. What did you guys think of this movie? Please comment below because I absolutely care to know. And to get more of this cool stuff, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell on the side, and I will see you next time on MovieSlayer.